Trixie's Forest Retreat. By Crow's Crow. Chapter 43. Rut. Trixie's well-deserved nap came to an abrupt end. She was not entirely clear on what was actually said as she was asleep for half of it, but Trixie felt she had a fairly good idea just based on the context as she rolled over and groggily looked at the fuming Applejack. Trixie recognized her immediately, the ringleader. Yawning, Trixie curled back up and pulled the blanket up to her shoulder, though this time she faced Applejack instead of the window. Sleeping, or at least Trixie was. She made a gesture with her hoof as though to shoo Applejack away for interrupting her, then closed her eyes again. "I can see that. I mean, why are you here? And get the hay out of there." As far as Trixie was concerned, she had a right to be there. After all, she was pretty sure it was Big Mac that had put her there, and that had to mean it was okay. What is the big deal? Just go away already if you are not here to take Trixie home, to Fluttershy's home. Applejack glared at Trixie and opened her mouth to continue her rant now that Trixie was at least facing her, but paused once she got a better look at the wounded unicorn. Applejack raised a brow. Though the unicorn's attitude was still as nerve-grating as the day she had met her, there was no denying she looked terrible. But for that, what happened to her face? Friendship. Trixie smiled proudly while she peeked out of one eye at the cowmare. She looked exactly the same as the last time Trixie had seen her, sans the rope hog tie. "Aren't you glad? Would you stop speaking in gosh darned riddles? I reckon you didn't just climb in there on a whim." Applejack jabbed a hoof at her bed, but not quite as eager to kick Trixie out of it now. "It's not a riddle." "Oh fine." Trixie forgot who she was speaking to. "Your brother, Big Mac, took Trixie here. He's been bucking all afternoon and Trixie is exhausted." Applejack's eyes widened a bit. "Duh, don't you speak about my brother like that. He would never just, wha, with a mare he barely met. And especially not in my bed." Trixie blinked confused. "What on equestrian are you talking about?" The great and eloquent Trixie is not sure she can find any smaller words to talk to you with. "Just go and fetch your brother, maybe he can interpret for you. Which reminds Trixie, did he not tell you anything?" Scowling at Trixie, Applejack controlled herself. "No, I just came home. I saw Big Mac wave, but I reckoned he was just happy to see we made it back." Applejack looked out the window. "Looks like he's headed this way. I reckon it's got to do with this here mess then." Applejack headed out of the room and reached for the door, pulling it nearly shut before she looked back. "You stay right there. We're gonna get to the bottom of this barrel, and then I'll decide if I'll bury you in it or not." She slammed the door shut. Trixie winced as the loud slam hurt her ears, nor did it do her headache any favors. Ugh, she did that on purpose. The little simpleton. At least that was kind of fun. They can sort this out among themselves. Trixie has a more important task. Smirking softly, Trixie closed her eyes again and nuzzled into her, for the time being, pillow. In the past week Trixie had gotten to know more beds than she had in her whole life. It was getting to the point where she started to identify distinguishing traits between them. The hospital bed had been rather firm and itchy, while Fluttershy's was as soft as the pony it was meant for. What stood out most about this one was the strong apple and hay scent that came off of the pillow and covers. Trixie quite liked it, but also reminded her that she had yet to eat anything and the pillow was starting to smell awfully appetizing. Through the floorboards Trixie could hear voices rise up. By the sounds of it, Big Mac had finally caught up to Applejack, or perhaps more accurately it was the other way around. "Big Mac, do you know anything about that home invader we got upstairs? She claims you brought her here." "Yep." "Did you get into the cider reserves while I was gone? What in the hay is Trixie doing here?" "Gosh darn it, I knew Rainbow was lying. What, did you find her lost in the street and brought her home like some stray cat?" "Yep. Just till you all came back. She says shish. Wants to go to Fluttershy's house. Yeah, I know. But why my bed? What's wrong with ears? Nope, it ain't proper. You can't lay mare in a stallion's bed, AJ. Ain't proper? Ah. Well, what about grannies or apple blooms then? Why mine, huh? Just because it's closest to the stairs? Yep. And speaking of lay, yeah, didn't you know? She's claiming is all I'm saying. It finally struck Trixie what had gotten Applejack so rattled a minute ago. Before she could stop herself, she burst out into a rib-cracking laughing fit. She could not wait to tell this to Rainbow Dash later. That was sure to get her going swell. She might have to omit this when telling it to Fluttershy though. Darn it, Trixie. Don't you know it's rude to listen in on other ponies' conversations? Big Mac, this way. Trixie couldn't hear the voices anymore after that. Perhaps they went into another room? Oh well, it was fun while it lasted. Wait a minute. If Applejack is here, then that must mean the others are back to right. Good, Trixie can leave soon then. As fun as it is getting back at that little hayseed, Trixie has something better to do. It occurred to Trixie that something was missing. She had been thinking a lot and her head was not exploding. Huh? A little rest sure helps. Come to think of it, the problem only really started when I tried to think and move. The doctor did say Trixie was not supposed to, maybe that's why. Staring out the window again, Trixie saw the sun was low in the sky. She estimated the night could not be more than an hour away. I wonder if they are home yet. I want to see them. Below, the voices had become audible again. You can't be serious. Yep. Trixie could hear hooves climb up the staircase, then the door swung open revealing Applejack with Big Mac right behind her. Applejack looked extremely uncomfortable and only moved when she was given a push from behind. Applejack trotted up to the bed and stared at Trixie for a few moments, then gave another quick look behind her towards Big Mac, who did not move an inch. Fine. She picked up a pie tin from her bag and set it down on the part of the blanket that covered Trixie's lap. Trixie blinked and looked down at the apple pie in her lap. It smelled positively divine, and was exactly what she'd been craving after the bed had teased her empty stomach. Trixie shifted to prop herself up against the pillow while she stared up at Applejack questioningly. After taking a deep breath, Applejack spoke up. Trixie, I am sorry. I should not have yelled at a guest. I hear you got one kind of Ponyville hospitality today. I reckon we owe it to show you the proper kind. I won't lie. The plan was to have Big Mac give you this, but I do mean it. This was not what Trixie had been prepared for. But, Trixie thought you hated her? I reckon you paid your dues. Applejack scratched the back of her neck. Now I know you're wanting to go see Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy, but it just ain't right to have a guest leave Sweet Apple Acres hungry. So, this is for Trixie. She pointed down at the apple pie. Yep. Applejack grinned cheesily as she imitated her big brother. Think of it as a token of my apologies to you, or as just the best darn tooting thing you'll ever eat. I warn ya. Think carefully before you decide to take a bite. You ain't gonna want no other kind of pie ever again. Trixie didn't need any further convincing. It was already hard enough just to keep her eyes on Applejack instead of the warm pie. A growl from her stomach was the final straw. Applejack had been right. This was the best thing Trixie could remember ever eating, with the exception of peanut butter chocolate muffins of course. After eating half the pie, the crumbs of crust covered her muzzle as Trixie suddenly looked up to Applejack and Big Mac. It had completely slipped her mind there were other ponies in the room while she was stilling her hunger. Blushing with embarrassment, Trixie wiped her muzzle clean, quickly licking the crumbs off her hoof afterward. So sorry. Trixie got a little carried away. It really is good. Well, I reckon that's the greatest compliment one can have, so don't you worry about it, Trixie. Applejack smiled. An affirming nod from Big Mac followed. Yep. Trixie became aware of the strangest sensation. It occurred to her she actually had a bit more to say. Big Mac? Thank you, for absolutely everything you did for Trixie. Sorry if Trixie got you in any trouble. She glanced over at Applejack in that moment. But you helped Trixie a great deal, and she is grateful. You don't mind Trixie waited this long, do you? Nope. Trixie smiled at Big Mac, then turned her attention to his sister. Applejack? Applejack wore a kind expression. Yes, Sugar Cube. Trixie accepts your apology, and already ate half of it, so that's rather obvious, she would think. Trixie gave a small nod down at the half-empty pie tin. And Trixie isn't sorry for anything. Gosh darn it, you really wanna start this whole thing again? Applejack rolled her eyes. Unfazed, Trixie carried on. Because Trixie does not think she did anything wrong. She answered your questions to the best of Trixie's ability, even if you were rude about asking them or did not understand Trixie's reply. Though it is true Trixie lost patience with you toward the end, she only suggested you talk to your brother about it. Applejack's mouth hung open, trying to think of something to retort with. Yeah, well, what about her rotten attitude? You woke Trixie up. You can't blame her being a little grumpy. Gah, you can't just. Big Mac say something? Nope. Big help you are. Okay, fine. I did not give you an apology just so I would get one in return. If you're done eating, we'll take you to Fluttershy's home. Honestly, you're a bigger hoofball than a vampire fruit bat infestation. Wait, not yet. Trixie turned her attention back to the half-finished pie with renewed vigor. A few minutes later they set out. Big Mac carried Trixie again while Applejack accompanied them, carrying a saddlebag with apples. She said it was because she simply had a delivery to make there, and had something to discuss with Rainbow Dash, but Trixie caught more than a few glances from Applejack to her and Big Mac. Makes sense. She is his sister after all. So, do you often make house calls? Nah, usually folks buy our apple products at the market. Sometimes we get orders to fill though, them's busy days I tell ya. Fluttershy is a special case. She takes the bruised apples that we can't sell to ponies off our hooves, and gives them to our animals. Works for us cause it means we ain't stuck with them. Trixie would have liked to actually have a conversation while they traveled, but she could only fight off the constant fatigue for so long. By the time she woke up, the surroundings had changed from endless apple trees to the familiar scenery of Fluttershy's meadow. Trixie immediately perked up in excitement as soon as she realized where they were. We're here. You can put Trixie down now, thanks for the ride, Big Mac. She slid off his back and with a sideways glance at Applejack, kissed his cheek. Thank you again, Trixie is fine from here. Applejack's jaw nearly hit the floor. Big Mac just remained stoic and nodded. Yep. Trixie turned and shakily made her way up the path towards Fluttershy's house. The setting sun washed the quaint hovel in a warm orange light, seeming to beckon the eager unicorn closer. She had finally made it, her heart beat as rapid as a woodpecker while she hurried up to the door. Finally. Well, let's go, Big Mac, right now. She set two hooves against his barrel and tried to push him back towards the road. Nope. He raised a hoof to pet his little sister on the head, then nodded towards the house. Applejack dropped her saddlebags next to the path. There, Fluttershy will find them just fine. Let's go. Applejack gave him another push but was met with another nod. She turned around to get another look at what he was going on about. Just what is so important about our N? Oh. Trixie knocked on the door of the dark house. Everything seemed off about it. Fluttershy. Trixie's home, back. Fluttershy? She trotted up to one of the windows and peered inside. All the furniture and birdhouses were still there. But she could not find a single living thing. Once it hit Trixie, she started to see it everywhere, or rather not see it. All of the animals that usually were around or tried to trip her up were gone. Though Fluttershy? Rainbow Dash? She took a few unsteady steps back to stare up at the window that she knew led to the bedroom. It was closed. This isn't funny, Rainbow Dash. Trixie is here. You're supposed to be here. Why aren't you girls? Where is every pony? It's not fair. Trixie does not want to be alone anymore. Tears began to well up in her eyes. Trixie felt a hoof drape over her shoulder and quickly looked back to find Applejack beside her. It's okay, Sugar Cube. I reckon them's just a tad late. I know where Fluttershy keeps her spare key, so why don't you wait inside? I'll stay with you till they get here. She glanced behind her at Big Mac and raised her voice some. And Big Mac will go take care of the delivery he neglected to bring Stray home. Ain't that right? Yep. Chapter 44. Reinterpret. It was dead silent in Fluttershy's house. Normally there would be an almost constant soft skittering and chirping from the small animals that lived there in the background. Now the only sound was the breathing of two ponies. Applejack had found the key as she promised and let the both of them, and the apples, inside. Neither of them had ever wandered around in Fluttershy's house when it was dark, however, and it took an embarrassingly long time to find out how to turn the lights on. Ugh, this is taking forever. Trixie thinks it is better to just sit in the dark. Trixie had made a fairly rapid attempt to cover up her small breakdown and insisted she merely had gotten viciously assaulted by a roaming speck of dirt to the eye. You can't just sit in the dark waiting for some pony. That's downright creepier than a 12-legged spider in a bathtub. Well, unless you're Pinkie Pie, I reckon, but she turns the lights right on when you get there. It still freaks every pony out though, or maybe it's the screaming surprise part. Trixie stared blankly at Applejack for a moment. What in the hay? Yes, well, Trixie supposes you have a point. This would be so much easier if we had some actual light. She tapped what looked like a small shaded lamp with her hoof, but she had no idea how to turn it on. Well, how about you make some light with a horn then? I seen a show you could make lots of lights. Trixie bit her lip. The great and powerful Trixie does not give sneak previews. She set the lamp back down and tried to spot anything else within hoof distance she could examine, trying to avoid triggering another headache by moving about too much. Applejack raised a brow. Really, you pick right now to decide you don't want to show off anymore? Right. Just hush and figure out how to make light on your own. She's your friend, right? How do you not know how to turn her lights on? You're the one that's lived here for a week. Don't you know where Fluttershy keeps the candles or something? Applejack squinted at what she guessed might be bookshelves, letting her hoof run past it to feel for anything different. Trixie shook her head. Trixie was not awake at night, nor during the day for that matter. This is actually the first time she has seen Fluttershy's house in the dark. It's eerie. Though Trixie was sure it was less to do with the house, and more with the disturbing lack of so many familiar elements. Rummaging through the shelves, Applejack replied. You sleep that much? I figured you might be a bit spoiled, but I hadn't pegged you for being that lazy. The great and diligent Trixie is not lazy. Rainbow Dash K. Came across Trixie in the forest. Something had hit Trixie in the head. Trixie does not remember it very well. She went to get help. It turned out Trixie had a concussion. It's what is making Trixie so tired till she is better. But it's been a week. Surely you can't be that bad off now. Trixie stayed quiet for a moment as she considered her options. Trixie relapsed. She pushed herself too hard. It was just that Trixie did not want to be a burden, so she tried to help in ways she probably should not have. Applejack looked over her shoulder at Trixie's silhouette. Well, that explains the hospital gown, I guess. That mean you're tired right now too? Exhausted. You know you could take a nap if you wanted. I don't mind. Don't underestimate Trixie. She is not. Aha. With a cry of triumph she produced a candle from a drawer in the small table the shaded lamp stood on. As usual, if Trixie wants a job done well she should do it herself. Really impressive. So how are you gonna light it if you can't use inner magic? Applejack came closer, and stubbed her hoof on a table leg in the dark. uttering some choice country-flavored swears Trixie had never heard before, and she'd have commented if she was not distracted by something else. Trixie never said she could not. She just will not. Now make yourself useful and just do some earth pony voodoo to light this thing. Earth pony voodoo? What in blazes, you mean hard work? Yes, that. Hop to it. Trixie did her part. After giving Trixie a glare, which was rather ineffective given that neither could really see the other, Applejack took the candle from Trixie and made her way over to the hearth. She quickly found a flint and tinder and struck a few sparks. Trixie winced lightly as the first spark caught her by surprise and closed her eyes tightly. Ack! Give Trixie a little warning next time. Shouldn't you do that outside or something? What if you burn the house down? Applejack slammed the flint down on the stone bricks of the fireplace, the sparks illuminating her skull briefly. You can't tell me to do the job, or how to do it. Pick one. However you do it is fine. Trixie cannot be bothered to micromanage your every move. A few sparks later a soft, warm glow flickered through the room. The light revealed all the stools and table legs that the pair would have sworn kept moving about just to hit them in the shins while they walked. Of course now they all kept perfectly still. Trixie smiled. The room did not look quite as alien anymore now that there was a little light. Hey, you actually did it. Trixie is impressed with your performance. You know something that actually sounded genuine for a change. Applejack picked the candle up and carried it towards the table. I reckon we can just sit here for a spell and wait for M here. Wait, Applejack, Trixie has a better idea. She pointed towards the windowsill next to the front door. Do you think we could put it there? For good luck. Trixie watched Applejack lift up an eyebrow. For good luck? I don't rightly know what you're on about there, Trixie. We would waste like half the light there. And there's nothing to sit on. Applejack looked over at the window then back at Trixie, a questioning look clear on Applejack's face. Trixie smiled and trotted up towards the window. Well, it's a traveler's custom. Or you could say a non-traveler's custom really. Lighting a candle in the windowsill is said to bring good luck to travelers and help guide them back home safely. Course travelers is a bit loosely defined. Runaway falls count for example. Just anyone that is not home and might need a little help returning. And you believe that's true? Well, maybe Trixie does not, but it can't hurt. What Trixie does believe is that it is a symbol that the ponies left behind really want their loved ones to come home. Trixie has been on the other end before and well. It feels really nice to see a small warm light signaling the end of a tiring journey, to know there is a pony they're eagerly waiting to. Her voice trailed off as she just stared outside at the night sky. Trixie only snapped out of it when she heard a small clank nearby. She glanced down to find the candle in a holder on the windowsill, then looked back to find Applejack nearby giving her a smile. I reckon it can't hurt neither. Thank you. Trixie mumbled softly and returned the smile. Applejack pulled on Trixie's tail. Come along then. I reckon we earned a rest after all that trouble. We got a good view from here too. She trotted across the room and climbed onto Fluttershy's large couch, and Trixie followed her example. Laying on the couch, Trixie stared at the weakly flickering flame quietly. The light barely reached them there. After a while of observing, Applejack broke the silence. You really do love Anne, don't you? Trixie flinched startled. What no? Trixie, Trixie. Does. It doesn't feel right to deny it. She averted her gaze to avoid showing her face to Applejack. Though she did not exactly expect ridicule from the mayor at this point, she had not taken a single opportunity yet. It's okay, you know, I'll love Em too. Upon hearing that, Trixie's breath stopped and she looked back to Applejack, who smiled softly. Like I do all my friends and family. Trixie breathed a sigh, but she could not quite place the feeling she got after hearing that. She found herself letting out a little chuckle. I reckon you are a better pony for it. When I saw you in town you were just a big show-off. But since you spent been with them you are doing much better. Trixie's ears perked up. She had some idea of why that was. But you're taking it a bit far, ain't you? Breaking out of a hospital to come back here? I can't imagine what possessed you to do such a thing. Applejack shook her head. Trixie pondered the question. What was I thinking? Even if there was a fire, what was I going to do? I just was not really thinking straight because they did not visit Trixie. She choked out the words. It hurt just to say them. Trixie was so worried. She thought something must have happened to them, but that's not the worst part. Trixie hoped something had happened. Applejack gasped. Why in tarnation would you wish something like that upon her friends? Rubbing her eyes, Trixie tried to hide her tears. Because otherwise, it meant they were not Trixie's friends. So when Trixie saw the smoke she convinced herself they were in trouble, and went out to help. Oh Trixie. That has got to be the dumbest thing I have ever heard. I got half a mind to put you over Manny for thinking of Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy like that. As if they would ever just pretend to be some pony's friends. Trixie just nodded and stared down at the floor, her shoulders shaking lightly. Trixie knows it was selfish and stupid. Nobody told Trixie anything, but she should have trusted them. Just yesterday Rainbow Dash was mad cause she did not trust Trixie, and now Trixie does the same thing. Applejack rested a hoof on Trixie's shoulder. Well, it's good you understand where you went wrong. It's okay to make mistakes, I reckon. You gotta look on the sunny side, it's just one more way we learn, and besides no pony got hurt. Though I reckon there'll be a spot of chaos at the hospital. Bet you they are as worked up as a beehive with no comb, but that ain't my problem thanks Celestia. She chuckled. You're right, Applejack. Thank you for listening to Trixie. She perked up a bit. Trixie can see now that some good things came out of her mistakes this time. She got to eat the best pie in the world, and meet you. Trixie showed a smile again, thinking about the positives really was helping. And your big brother. She let her eyes slid half closed and looked dreamily as Trixie said those last 3 words. She could practically feel Applejack tense up beside her. Whoa. You stay away from my brother, you hear? I mean it. And none of that stuff like before neither. Applejack huffed with narrowed eyes while her face ran red. If Trixie had to guess, she was remembering their departure. The dreamy expression melted into a wide grin on Trixie's face. Teasing the naive Calmer was just too much fun. You're talking about that kiss, aren't you? Well, don't you worry. If you like, Trixie can prove to you she won't go after him. She leaned in closer as she spoke. You can? I doubt that. Let's see it then. Applejack said, her eyes ran over Trixie searchingly. With that, Trixie pointed towards the candle in the windowsill, and once Applejack turned her head to look at it, Trixie leaned in the rest of the way to plant a kiss on Applejack's cheek in the same manner she had with Big Mac. Whoa. Applejack recoiled and tumbled off the couch, crashing into the ground. Fortunately it was not all the high. She laid on her back with her hind legs still on the couch, staring up at the lightly grinning Trixie. What the hey does that prove? You just go around kissing random ponies you don't know. Have some self-restraint, mare. Trixie's grin faltered, feeling a sting in her chest at the remark. Her ears folded back against her neck. No, it's only for friends. Sorry. Trixie thought it might be more fun showing you this way, sorry. She pulled her gaze away from Applejack and settled it downcast on the pillow she was sitting on. Applejack stayed on the floor for a moment while she thought about this, then climbed back onto the couch, taking a seat next to Trixie. This another one of your customs, I take it? Yep. Hearing the invitation, Applejack smirked a little. I see how it is. Okay then. You done this with your other friends too? Like Fluttershy? Yep. Oh ma. How about Rainbow Dash? I can't see her going for something like this. Nope. I figured. It's a tad strange since we don't have that custom round these parts, but, if I understand you right, this means you would like me to be a friend? Yep. You realize you really should explain this sort of thing first, right? Why, I could have misunderstood entirely. Trixie just nodded and did not say anything further. Applejack blushed but leaned in closer, much to Trixie's surprise, and placed a kiss on her cheek. Meeting Trixie's surprised gaze as it rose up to meet her, Applejack just nodded and turned her head a little. Smiling brightly, Trixie kissed the exposed cheek. At the same time, she heard the front door swing open with such force that it cracked the wall. In the door opening stood a completely out-of-breath Rainbow Dash. Trixie. Rainbow Dash galloped inside and skidded to a screeching halt halfway through the room, her wide eyes locked on the kissing mare. Even in the dim candlelight it was blindingly obvious what Trixie was doing. As if stuck in a nightmare, Trixie cried out again. Rainbow Dash. This is not what it looks like. Rainbow Dash finished for her, in a tone of voice that Trixie could only interpret as pure malice. As Rainbow Dash quickly closed in on her, Trixie curled up on the couch, shaking. Applejack watched on in stunned silence, unsure of what exactly she was looking at. As Rainbow Dash got close, Trixie closed her eyes tightly. It's true, I swear, she whimpered. Trixie flinched when she felt a hoof on her head. Bracing forward followed. What followed went against everything she was expecting. Rainbow Dash was petting her. She felt a weight sink down on the couch beside her, followed by the distinguishing high heat of Rainbow Dash's body when she pulled Trixie against her. I know, Trixie, I know. I'm so sorry. Chapter 45. Reunite. Trixie felt as though she had somehow stepped into another dimension. A dimension where Fluttershy's cozy house was dark and empty, where annoying cowmares were actually alright, and most importantly a dimension where Rainbow Dash was hugging her. A real hug, not a so you don't fall of cloud hug. Trixie had never felt so warm. This is wonderful. Don't be scared, Trixie. It's just that I was worried. I've been looking all over for you. It took a few moments for Trixie to get over the shock, but once she did, Trixie quickly slid her hooves around Rainbow Dash in return, holding on for dear life. As scared as she had been a few seconds ago, Trixie could not remember ever feeling safer than right then. You mule, we were so worried. Rainbow Dash scolded while she squeezed Trixie tighter. By the words Trixie could tell Rainbow Dash had not come alone, but heavy breathing and rapid thumping she could feel with their chests pressed together told her any others were not likely to arrive for a while. Yeah, you were? I'm sorry. This is wonderful. And just what in the hay was that about? Applejack spoke up, her eyes firmly fixed on Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash's ears perked up and her gaze snapped towards Applejack. Becoming acutely aware she was being watched, quickly tried to pry herself away from Trixie. Gah, Applejack. Right, you were here. Hi. Come on, Trixie, let go. Trixie was not about to simply let it end just because Rainbow Dash was embarrassed, however, not when she had finally gotten what she wanted. A few vain struggles later, Rainbow Dash resigned herself to her fate, bringing her hooves back around Trixie and looking sharply towards Applejack. Not a word. This is wonderful. What are you gonna do about it? Looks like you're stuck worse than a Applejack. Do us both a favor and don't finish that. So I guess I should answer your question. Trixie explained it to Fluttershy before. It's some tradition back where she's from. It's for friends but not for our lovers. So don't get the wrong idea. Applejack shook her head. I know that. That ain't what I was asking about. She pointed a hoof towards the comfortably snuggled up Trixie. Just why was she? You know, I guess it don't matter right now, but I need to talk to you later. What's wrong with right now? Come on, don't leave me hanging, AJ. That's not cool. Trixie won't mind. Right, Trixie. Rainbow Dash glanced down at Trixie and poked her with a hoof, trying to snap her out of her little trance. "This is wonderful." Trixie cried out only to realize she had actually said it out loud and blushed furiously. Trixie means you Trixie's got nothing. To her delight, Rainbow Dash made no attempt to let her go again, even though she was a bit more susceptible to reason now. Applejack looked at Trixie with a puzzled expression for a moment, then lifted her gaze to meet Rainbow Dash's. "Don't you mind me? I reckon I can show myself out. Looks like I ain't needed no more." "Whoa, hold your horses, Applejack." "What do you mean?" Rainbow Dash said, concerned. "Oh, don't worry, Rainbow. I only mean I was just here to keep Trixie company till you all came back. And you did. Trixie doesn't think that means you have to leave. Won't you stay for a bit?" "Yeah, at least stay till Fluttershy gets here. I'm sure she'd like to thank you for playing host. Besides, we're gonna need a witness or else Trixie will never believe us." Rainbow Dash grinned mischievously. Trixie blinked. "Wait, what?" "Well, when you put it like that, I guess I can stay for a little longer." "Oh, long as you're here, Rainbow Dash, you got any idea how to get the lights on in this place?" It only just then seemed to dawn on Rainbow Dash that the entire group on the couch all had to share in the vague light of just a single candle on the opposite end of the room. She looked around for a moment, then shrugged her shoulders. "Not a clue." Trixie and Applejack groaned. "Really, Rainbow? You don't know something that basic?" Applejack complained. "Yeah, how can you not know that?" Trixie chimed in. Flustered, Rainbow Dash gestured dismissively with her wing. "Hey, what is all this? As if you guys know." At least the ingenuity of the great and resourceful Trixie, and Applejack's voodoo, created what light we have now. Trixie grinned widely as she spoke and gave a wink at Applejack. "Yup, I reckon it only took us half an hour tops in the dark." "Oh great, so now you are both boasting. Figures she would rub off on you, AJ." "Rub off on me? From where I sit in her town she's rubbing off on, or onto." Applejack laughed and pointed to Rainbow's hooves that had been around Trixie again since the failed attempt to dislodge her. "Ain't it a mite curious that you've been holding on to her all this time?" Trixie observed as Rainbow Dash blinked and looked down at her for a moment, looking back with a nervous smile. Trixie still enjoyed the warm embrace more than anything. Oh, why did she have to remind her? Cursed Applejack. "Please don't pull away, or well." Trixie guesses it was nice while it lasted. "Hey, Trixie, do you like this?" The question Rainbow Dash posed caught Trixie off guard. What kind of question is that? She knows the answer, right? Is she testing me? Do I tell her or not? Is she going to make fun of me? Despite her doubts, Trixie nodded. The great and powerful Trixie approves of this. Rainbow Dash squeezed Trixie a little tighter. "Then you can stay like this for a while. Anything I can do to make you feel better is cool." She returned her attention to Applejack. "Trixie's had a rough week. But if you want to make fun of me for this, I can't stop you, can I?" "Oh, I don't aim to make fun of y'all. I understand perfectly. Is why I'm here after all. Helping some pony recover is a noble thing, I reckon." Her eyes lingered on Trixie for a while, then mumbled. "I just hope you all know what you're doing." "Course I do, I'm awesome. And noble." Rainbow Dash grinned. With her image problems taken care of for the moment, Rainbow Dash concentrated on the next most pressing thing. "So, Trixie, what brought you here anyway? Did AJ pick you up from the hospital or what?" "I'm just saying, you're supposedly to be too weak to travel alone." Trixie huffed. Is there no end to the underestimating of Trixie? What part of the great and powerful Trixie our pony is struggling to understand? Trixie goes where Trixie pleases. As though to illustrate her point, she hugged Rainbow Dash a bit tighter. "What she is neglecting to mention there, Rainbow, is that she broke out of her room and nearly killed herself on some stairs, and nearly got herself killed in a dark alley. If Big Mac hadn't stepped in when he did, I hate to think what Waldo happened. You should see his face right now. He was pretty shook up by the whole deal. Big Mac was shook up. He didn't look shook up to Trixie. Well, he's a stoic sort, but I can tell. It ain't every day he gets in a fight, you know. My brother's the peaceful kind. Huh? Big Mac got in a fight? Now that I'd love to see. Rainbow Dash laughed at the thought, but quickly faltered under Applejack's stare. I mean, yeah, fighting smitting. Boo. Smitting is still a word, Rainbow. But I appreciate the sentiment. Ain't you forgetting something though? Applejack nudged the easily excitable Pegasus. Rainbow Dash blinked, and went over the conversation again briefly. Oh yeah. Trixie, are you okay? Trixie is fine. Thanks to Big Mac. He gave Trixie a lift to her home. Sweet Apple Acres? She looked towards Applejack, and after a reaffirming nod she carried on. Right. He said Trixie could rest there till you all were back from dealing with the smoke, then took Trixie to Fluttershy's home. Applejack came too, of course. She was worried that Trixie was trying to seduce her brother. Hey. I was no such thing. Applejack collared Scarlet and crossed her forelegs over her chest. I just had some apples to deliver and y'all were headed that way, so I came with. Ain't no more to it than that. So you, Applejack. Rainbow Dash grinned. That's why you came right over today, even though you said you were going straight to bed after dragging Fluttershy up that mountain. Quiet you. One more word and this here is war. Applejack smirked. Oh please. I could take you anytime anywhere. Heck, I've beaten you so many times I don't think I can keep track. Oh, is that so? Well, since I can see you're busy for a while, then how about we set a date for next time then? How about last day of autumn, before the running of the leaves? You on? Trixie witnessed the exchange quietly, looking from one to the other before she settled on Applejack. So do you do this a lot, Applejack? Trixie was not sure if she should try to approach this topic, but she had them both here now. What do you mean, Sugar Cube? Applejack looked puzzled. Trixie felt uncomfortable, but she had to know. Beat each other? Oh sure, sometimes Rainbow Dash gets a tad bit uppity and she needs a reminder she ain't the best at everything. It's all in good fun though, it's just between friends. There ain't no hard feelings afterward. Why, I reckon it makes us better friends each time. Well, unless it's too close, sometimes we go on for a week straight bout that. Applejack smiled at Trixie, then gave a look at Rainbow Dash as she piped up. It relieved Trixie a great deal, though she still did not fully understand their phrasing. She had been worried a little previously, but this confirmed it was perfectly normal. Okay, Trixie understands. Trixie had not heard of it before as something that happened between friends like that, but then it was not uncommon not to know about other local customs. Piff, only sometimes? I feel like you're saying I'm slacking off, AJ. Just 'cause I've been busy this week. You can see why, right? I leave Trixie alone for a day and she nearly dies twice. Heck, 3 times if you count their attempt at starving her. Applejack raised a brow. I've been meaning to ask. You're taking this awfully well, Rainbow. A tad bit too well, I reckon. You're not planning on doing anything crazy, are ya? I somewhat expected you to fly right out of here and yell at the hospital staff. Rainbow Dash looked at Applejack with a surprisingly serious look. Oh, I don't need to do that, AJ. You don't? Why? 'Cause they'll be coming through the door in a few minutes and try to take Trixie back to the hospital. I'm conserving energy. Trixie froze. She had completely forgotten about that. She had slipped out the hospital to get here. Of course they were going to try to get her back, and probably make sure she stayed there. Trixie wonders if their straitjackets are any less comfortable than this gown. She broke out of her thoughts when she felt Rainbow Dash nudge her gently, looking up into her eyes. "So, Trixie, before they get here, there's something I want to ask you." Applejack looked nervous. No good could come of this. "Rainbow, do you want to go back to the hospital, or stay here?" Chapter 46. Rage-shy. Wrapped up in their embrace, Trixie's heart skipped a beat as Rainbow Dash told her she had a question for her. Ignoring Applejack entirely, Trixie stared up into those magenta eyes, with her ears stood up straight. A brief thought spared to the notion that she'd been able to feel Rainbow Dash's heartbeat all this time. That means she can feel mine too, doesn't it? Trixie tried to swallow, but her mouth felt so dry. While Rainbow Dash took a breath, in that short window a dozen thoughts raced through Trixie's mind. Is she going to? Can this day get any better? Trixie knew coming here was a fantastic idea. What do I do? Rainbow's been so great all day. Well, during the morning and evening anyway. This is wonderful. May. Do you want to go back to the hospital, or stay here? Blinking rapidly a few times, Trixie tilted her head. That is your stupid question? What is with you and asking rhetorical questions tonight? Stupid? Rhetorical? Rainbow Dash looked taken aback. It means you're asking for directions when you already know the way, Rainbow. Applejack filled in for her oblivious friend, while she scooted back away from the pair as far as the couch would allow. Yes, that. See, even the country bumpkin knows you're a mule. No offense, Applejack. None taken. Applejack tried to stay out of it any further. Trixie practically crawled here to see you two again, and you're asking if she wants to go back to that itchy, boring jail cell all alone? Can't you just assume the accursed obvious? Her angry rant was somewhat diminished in impact by the fact that Trixie, despite her anger, refused to untangle herself from Rainbow Dash. What's with me? What's with you? I thought you'd be happy I asked your opinion. You liked it just a minute ago. Rainbow Dash ears perked up, then she pulled herself away from Trixie and trotted towards the door. It's not going to be like that twice. Fluttershy will visit, and I'll visit as much as they let me. I promise. So I need to know what you want. You're the one that said I should not assume things about you. Trixie stifled a whine as Rainbow Dash pulled away. Can't you just read the mood or something? Does Trixie have to spell it out across the sky in sparkly green letters? Of course Trixie wants to stay here. Her vision of the room doubled and Trixie set her hooves on the couch cushions and shook her head, trying to clear it. See, curses, not now. Though was that so hard? I just wanted to hear you say it. Rainbow Dash rested her hoof on the wooden door and ran it horizontal groove in the middle, checking the metal latch that locked the top and bottom parts together. She held the door in hoof while looking at the opening, enjoying the cool night breeze on her fur. Trixie laid down on the couch to stop the room from spinning. She could see a cyan and prismatic blur standing at the door and stretched out a hoof. Don't leave. Trixie is sorry. Hey, Applejack, could you do me a favor? Go upstairs and open the bedroom window. Rainbow Dash did not break away from looking outside. What? Well, I guess I could do that. Applejack looked unsure of the odd request, but rose up and made her way upstairs. A few moments later a soft, brief creaking could be heard from outside and upstairs. It didn't make much sense to Trixie, but each attempt at thinking about it just aggravated her headache further. Trixie stared at Rainbow Dash in confusion through one eye. She had closed the other to get rid of the doubled vision, then perked up her ears. What's that sound? It's coming closer. Hoof steps. Trixie could not really see outside. The candlelight in the window near the door made it impossible to look through it. However, she was certain she could hear ponies approaching and soon could even hear voices. Well, we can't be certain that she is there, but if she was not, I am fairly confident she would have flown back to inform Fluttershy. Nurse Redheart spoke. Oh. I hope she's okay. Rainbow Dash? Is that you? The sound of Fluttershy's voice brought a smile to Trixie's face. Nurse Redheart quickened her pace and trotted up towards the front door. The pale candlelight caught her just enough that Trixie could see her. Good there you are, Rainbow Dash. Why did you not report back after you got here? So is Trixie there? Rainbow Dash slammed the door shut in Nurse Redheart's face. You are banned. Come back when you break an equestrian record. Trixie flinched as the loud sound reached her ears and closed her eyes with a soft hiss. She could guess what would come next, and brought her hooves up over her ears. Sure enough, she could hear the muffled sounds of an extremely angry Nurse Redheart coming from behind the door. Redheart, are you all right? Trixie was not quite sure who the voice belonged to, but it sounded similar to the nurse she had spoken to in the afternoon, just long enough to get ignored by her. Oh great, she's here too? Just what Trixie needed. She rolled her eyes. Open this door right now. Do you think you're being clever? Nurse Redheart's voice was nearly unrecognizable. Rainbow Dash's first response was to ignore her completely. Fluttershy, take the window above you. Trixie could swear Rainbow Dash was taking way too much pleasure in her defiant act. If she had to guess, this was a grudge Rainbow Dash had been nurturing for a while. Up here, Sugar Cube. The sound of hooves hitting something up above soon followed, then a pair of voices, but it was too muffled for Trixie to make out. Especially with Rainbow Dash and Nurse Redheart's face-off taking place right on the other side of the room. Calm down, ponies are trying to rest here. You keep shouting and I will ban you from more than just a room. The door shook under the pounding it took outside. Meanwhile, Rainbow Dash carried on with another comment that on the face of it seemed fairly reasonable to Trixie, but she was pretty sure Rainbow Dash had an ulterior motive for. Rainbow Dash, I swear if you don't open this door right now I will personally see to it that there are no comic books in your room next time you're in the hospital, or ever again for that matter. Why don't you go see if she's powdering her nose outside? Trixie raised a brow. Now that one made no sense. A hint of something yellow out of the corner of her eye quickly drew Trixie's attention. She spotted Fluttershy coming down the stairs, with Applejack not far behind. Hey Fluttershy. She waved excitedly at first, and slightly less so when she found out doing so made her head start to spin again. Quickly after this, Trixie dropped her hoof back onto the couch to steady herself. It seemed to pay off though as Fluttershy immediately came closer. Worth it. Trixie, are you alright? Oh, I was worried sick about you. Please don't ever do that again. If you don't mind. Fluttershy's hooves were all over Trixie, much to her delight. It took a moment for Trixie to realize that Fluttershy was checking her for injuries and warning signals. Nodding her head, Trixie gave a warm smile at Fluttershy. Trixie is fine, Fluttershy, she is just a little bit dizzy. Any thoughts Trixie might have had of controlling herself went right out the window, and she reached out her hooves around Fluttershy and pulled her closer. I've missed you. Both of you. Why didn't you tell Trixie anything? Fluttershy yapped softly as Trixie hugged her, giving a glance towards the door where Rainbow Dash and Nurse Redheart were still going at it with undiminished energy. She looked back down to meet Trixie's eyes with a guilty look. I'm sorry. You were not supposed to have any more stress, and I thought that telling you we were going to climb a mountain to literally wake up a sleeping dragon would be very stressful. Trixie's eyes went wide as plates. You went what? Trixie screamed loud enough to actually draw the attention of Rainbow Dash and Nurse Redheart away from their argument. That is way worse than a fire. Why were you going there of all ponies? And who wakes up a sleeping dragon? Do you have any idea how lethal that is historically? Trixie knows over 12 tragic sagas on that premise alone. And she winced as she brought her hooves up to her head, trying hard to keep it from exploding. Trixie's fine. Don't worry. Just give her a minute. Whoa, Trixie, relax. None of those sagas had mean it after all. Rainbow Dash puffed out her chest in pride. I'm so awesome that I kicked the dragon right in the face. Oh man, you should have seen it. Not helping Rainbow. Applejack scolded. Fluttershy shook her head. But she is right, this was nothing like those stories. This dragon was very understanding. We all made it back fine, see? It did not seem to help much. Trixie closed her eyes, trying her best not to think about the sheer insanity of their task, and how they went about it if Rainbow Dash was to be believed. With every pony inside distracted for a moment, Nurse Red Heart and Nurse Manners pushed the door open to a crack before Rainbow Dash caught on and pressed herself against the door to stop them from getting through. One hoof in the door was already making it impossible to close it again though. Oh no you don't. While she was busy with pushing the door, Rainbow Dash looked towards the pained Trixie. Hey, Fluttershy, I dunno, try giving her a hug or something. Turns out she likes that. Maybe it'll calm her down. What? If you say so, Rainbow Dash. Trixie's ears perked up at the brief exchange between the two Pegasi. She did not feel like she needed any special attention to deal with her headache. After all, Trixie had dealt with plenty of them already, but she was not about to tell them that. Best suggestion ever. All is forgiven, Rainbow Dash. Applejack joined Rainbow Dash in her efforts to keep the door from letting any more ponies in. You reckon this is really such a great idea? How is this making it any less stressful on the gal? Can't you all calm down for 5 seconds? Following Rainbow Dash's suggestion, Fluttershy climbed onto the couch. Trixie could feel Fluttershy sitting next to her, but the expected incredibly soft and warm embrace Trixie looked forward to did not happen. Growing impatient, Trixie peeked a glance towards Fluttershy. Trixie found her fidgeting uncomfortably while she looked at Trixie, self-consciousness written clear on her blushing face. Yes, that is a very reasonable thing to say, Applejack. Nurse Red Heart sounded only slightly less livid. So if you would kindly subdue Rainbow Dash there, then we can have a civil discussion about just how much it hurts to get a door slammed into your muzzle. All I am trying to do is help that poor mare. Oh come on, Fluttershy. It's not hard. Oh got it. What if they come in? Will they take Trixie away? What if they start a fight? Could the noise attract big animals? This is really working. The great and powerful TR. Gah. Trixie closed her eyes tightly as she felt a fresh searing pain pierce her skull and shook all over as she fought it. Soon she felt something besides shaking and pain, a gentle soft warmth all around her. Fluttershy gasped as Trixie suddenly got worse before her eyes, and in an effort to help pull the suffering unicorn into her embrace. Fluttershy could not be sure if it would really work, or if Rainbow Dash was pranking her. But it was not the first time that she had calmed Trixie down like this, so she did have something to go on. Already she could feel it worked as Trixie's shaking diminished. Meanwhile the struggle by the door had gotten more intense. The door was open by just one hoof still, and between Rainbow Dash and Applejack it was not about to budge, but Nurse Red Heart and Nurse Manners had figured out it was a two-part door and had their hooves feeling around the door for the latch. It was fairly easy to defend the latch, but it meant not pushing against the door, which the nurses alternated their attention between. Finally the latch connecting the doors was knocked loose. A triumphant cry came from the other side of the door. It was quickly followed by an entirely different cry as the top half of the door was frantically slammed shut. The hoof in the door was only on the lower half. Oh, the muzzle again. I've had it, Rainbow Dash. Trixie did not honestly pay it all much mind. She simply snuggled up against the soft fur of Fluttershy with a delighted smile. The throbbing in her head actually did seem to go away quicker. This is wonderful, totally worth it. Hey! You can't pin that on me. What on Equestria made you think that was a good idea? Of course it was gonna do that. She's got you there, you know. That was mighty foolish. Yeah, okay though. I didn't mean to hurt you, Nurse Red Heart. I'm fine, it did not hit me as hard as I think it would have, like something slowed it do. Oh sweet Celestia. Manners. Bedside, are you okay? All resistance on the door vanished and it slammed shut. Rainbow Dash and Applejack looked at each other and got worried. Neither had any intention of actually hurting any pony. She's not breathing. In a single motion, Rainbow Dash and Applejack pulled the door open and rushed outside, where they found Nurse Manners flat on the ground with Nurse Red Heart frantically pushed down on her chest, then checking her pulse and going back to pressing. This time even Trixie could not in good conscience remain passive. Even if she did not like Nurse Manners, it was not as if she wanted the poor mare to die. Reluctantly she pulled away from Fluttershy and gave a nod to her. Go, Trixie is fine. Rainbow Dash. Come here, do what I'm doing. Don't stop. She repeated the pushing motion a few more times, then let Rainbow Dash take over, while she gave Applejack the task of counting the number of pulses each minute. Okay, good. Keep doing that. And the door slammed closed, and locked. Ahem, okay, good. Where was I? Ah, yes. Hello Fluttershy, Trixie. I hope I didn't scare you. What? Ah I'm sorry, but shouldn't you be taking care of Nurse Manners? Fluttershy mumbled quietly. What in tarnation? You ain't hit. Her muzzle is fine. Applejack cried out from outside. I am sorry, Miss Apple, but you have to understand you cannot keep a patient away from medical care. A rapid wing beat followed by a thud on the door revealed Rainbow Dash had discovered the door was locked. Red Heart. That's cheating. As if you of all ponies is going to give me a lecture on pranking. Just admit I've outsmarted you. Nurse Red Heart showed that same confident sly grin Trixie had seen back in the hospital, though her poor white muzzle was bruised and blooded this time around, making her look rather deranged. Trixie had to admit it was true. The nurse had shown before that she was quite capable of using her wits to deal with Rainbow Dash. Congratulations, you've proven you are smarter than Rainbow Dash. You must be so proud. Trixie gave a weary smile. That's not very nice, Trixie. Fluttershy whispered. Nurse Red Heart, you're hurt. Won't you let me take care of that? I'm fine, Fluttershy, thank you. If it is all the same with you, I would rather we just get this over with. You and Trixie follow me. We're getting out of here. We need to run some tests, make sure Trixie is okay. Then get her prepared for her talk with Mare, and make sure she does not get lost again. If we hurry, I will still have time left to burn every comic book in the hospital, just in case Rainbow Dash ever ends up there. Which, let's be honest, is only a matter of time. It was not clear if it was the tone, the blood-dripping muzzle, or the wild look in the mare's eye, but Trixie did not like the sound of any of that. To be fair, she's been dealing with Rainbow Dash for a while. I guess that would drive any pony crazy. She is not going anywhere. Rainbow Dash loomed up behind Nurse Red Heart. Gah. How on Equestria did you get in here? Rainbow rolled her eyes. The bedroom window? Duh. Outside, Nurse Manners and Applejack sat on the grass of the meadow, and just looked up at the stars. So her name is Bedside Manners? Applejack said, trying to ignore the slightly deranged speech inside. Yes, Miss Apple. Nurse Manners winced a little as she heard the racket going on behind them at a peak. I reckon it would be bad Bedside Manners tackle those two insane. Yes, but it would also be pure honesty. Nurse Manners gave a playful wink. So, how is dear Big Mac doing? He skipped his last physical. I was so disappointed. Wait, what? Meanwhile, Rainbow Dash and Nurse Red Heart were at one another's throats, the frustrations of the last couple days well and truly in full swing. Yelling and arguing getting ever louder and mere seconds away from fully exploding. You are crazy if you think I'm letting you take her back to the death trap you call a hospital. Look what you did, you starved her, let her leave, and near kill herself. What do you think that is any worse than near killing her yourself? What we did merely counts as gross negligence. You are on full-blown murder charges. Are you kidding me? At least it took a week for something that serious to happen for us. You only needed a day. I hate to think what I'd find if I left her there a whole week." Fluttershy and Trixie sat on the couch clinging to each other while the shouting match gradually escalated. As much as she had seen the past week, even for Trixie this was genuinely terrifying. Trixie was sure this was going absolutely nowhere good. She'd like to say she had never seen Rainbow Dash so angry, but that was a lie. She knew it could get a bit worse still and dreaded it getting there. A gentle nudging from Fluttershy's muzzle drew her attention. "Though Fluttershy?" Trixie, I'm sorry for what happened." Trixie could barely hear Fluttershy's soft gentle voice while the shouting match continued. "But do you think you could maybe give me another chance? I promise I'll try to do better this time so What, would you like to stay here again? It's okay if you don't want to. I would understand." Trixie stared at Fluttershy in disbelief, mouthing wordlessly before she just gave up and nodded. Earning a warm smile from Fluttershy, pulling her tighter into the hug before gently letting go. "And another thing," Rainbow Dash and Nurse Red Heart said in unison. "If you don't shush." "Quiet. Aren't you ashamed of yourselves? Trixie is right here and you both know she is not supposed to get any stress. What could be more stressful than having two ponies that are claiming to know what's best for her fight like feral dragons?" Fluttershy spoke up, barely as loud as a normal pony's speaking voice, but to Trixie, and any pony else in the room, Fluttershy might as well have been using the Royal Canterlot voice. But they both tried. "No. If you both had just calmed down and talked about this nothing would have happened. But you were both so wrapped up in your petty grudges that you were only using Trixie as a way to get back at the other. And that is no way for a caretaker to behave. Look at her, she's scared." Rainbow Dash and Nurse Red Heart were silent and stared at Fluttershy in shock. Fluttershy lifted a hoof to stroke Trixie's mane, and looked at her with that kind smile that made Trixie feel so warm inside. "Trixie has agreed to give it another try here. So there is no point in fighting any further. It is settled." That is right. Trixie chooses to stay here one more time." Trixie just barely managed to utter the words, but she felt she had to confirm the story. A stern glare turned back on the stunned pair. "So now do you see how inconsiderate you were being? Apologize." "Sorry, Fluttershy." "My apologies, Fluttershy. Not to me, to Trixie. And then to each other. I'm waiting." "Hey, sorry, Trixie." "Sorry for the door, Nurse Red Heart, and the yelling." "Forgive me, Trixie." "Rainbow Dash, I'm sorry for what happened." "That's better. Now you two go outside and apologize to Applejack and Nurse Manners for roping them into this. I'll put on some tea for every pony, and after that it's time for bed." Trixie watched as Nurse Red Heart and Rainbow Dash both turned around and trotted outside, dragging their hooves. Slowly she brought her gaze back up to Fluttershy, but it was still the same wonderful sweetheart staring back at her. "What the hey just happened?"